Welcome to the long game. I'm Nathan Carter, and just so you know, this voice is AI generated, but every word is written to give you real insight with clarity and care. Today, we're diving into something invisible, something that's with you from the moment you're born, but you barely think about it until it's almost too late. It's not money, it's not talent, it's not even knowledge. It's time. Not just the ticking clock kind, but the deep, quiet, unstoppable force that shapes everything, slowly, silently, and with more power than we realize. And here's the big idea for today. Time is not just a measurement. Time is a force. And when you learn how to work with it instead of against it, life begins to compound in ways you can't imagine. Let's begin. A forest, not a fire. Let me paint a picture. Imagine standing at the edge of a forest. It's young. The trees are small. The ground is clear. You plant a seed, a single seed, and you water it, just once. Then you leave. You come back the next day, and of course, nothing's changed. A week? Still nothing. A month? Maybe a small green sprout. But here's what happens over the years. That tiny seed becomes a tree. That tree drops seeds. Those seeds become more trees. And slowly, quietly, that forest starts to grow. Now imagine the same thing, but instead of a seed, you light a fire. It burns bright, it's dramatic, it gets everyone's attention. But then, it burns out, quickly, leaving nothing behind. That's the difference between flash wealth and compounding wealth, between chasing and building, between burning and growing. And the difference between the two? Time. Why most people ignore time until it's gone. Let's be honest. Time is boring. It doesn't make noise, it doesn't flash, it doesn't go viral. So we ignore it. We chase quick wins, fast money, instant results. And we wonder why we're exhausted, yet going nowhere. But here's the quiet truth. Everything meaningful in life, everything that lasts, takes time. Think of it. A strong friendship? Time. A healthy body? Time. A great career? Time. A thriving investment? Time. It's all the same law. And yet most people trade the long game for the short thrill. They want to flip houses, not build homes. They want to trade stocks, not own businesses. They want to appear rich, not be wealthy. And in the process, they burn their forests for the heat of a single fire. The Apple example. Decades, not days. Let's look at Apple. Today, it's one of the most valuable companies in the world. It sells products that millions adore. Its stock has made investors rich. But here's what people forget. If you had bought $1,000 of Apple stock in the year 2000, you'd have over $100,000 today, maybe more, depending on splits and reinvested dividends. But back then, Apple was struggling. The iPhone didn't exist. The world didn't believe in them. You needed to hold for decades. You needed to wait while nothing seemed to happen. You needed to give time. And if you did, time gave back. Now let's flip that. Imagine you tried to trade it. Buy low, sell high,
time the dips, guess the jumps. You might have made something, but chances are you'd have missed the big move. That's what time does. It rewards patience, not prediction. It multiplies conviction, not cleverness. Time is the great multiplier. Let's talk about compounding. Most people have heard of it, but few people feel it because it's not exciting at first. You invest $100, you get 10%. That's $10. The next year, it's 110, then 121, then 133. It's slow, it's small, it's invisible. Until it isn't. Because after 10 years, it's double. After 20, it's quadruple. After 30, it's almost 10 times. And it didn't happen because you did more. It happened because you waited longer. That's what people miss. Time is not about hustle. It's not about effort. It's about letting the quiet things grow. You don't have to outwork everyone. You just have to outweight them. Warren Buffett, master of the clock. You know his name, Warren Buffett, one of the richest men alive, a legendary investor, the Oracle of Omaha. But here's what makes him powerful. And it's not just stock picking. It's time. He started investing at age 11. He bought his first farm in high school. He kept reinvesting, holding, waiting. Today, most of his net worth, billions and billions, came after age 60. Think about that. Not because he changed his strategy, but because time had compounded everything. His skills, his returns, his capital, all working together over decades. Warren Buffett once said, "My wealth has come from a combination of living in America, some lucky genes, and compound interest." It's the last one that most people skip, because compound interest sounds boring. But it's not. It's magic, just very slow magic. The Amazon story, time plus vision. Now let's visit another giant, Amazon. Jeff Bezos launched it in 1994 as an online bookstore. He told his investors this won't be profitable for years, and he meant it. He poured money into warehouses, logistics, technology. Everyone laughed. Wall Street mocked him. For years, Amazon made no profit. But Bezos wasn't chasing quarters. He was building something for decades. And today, it's one of the most dominant companies on the planet. Not because it moved fast, but because it moved with long vision. Time again was the force behind it all. Why the long game feels so hard? You might be thinking, Nathan, I get it. Time matters. Patience is powerful. But why is it so hard? Because the world doesn't reward patience. It rewards appearance. You post your gains, your wins, your vacations. But no one posts their quiet months of saving. No one shows their decade of holding a stock. So you feel behind. But here's the truth. You're not behind. You're just playing a different game. And it's the right one. Because the long game doesn't shine right away, but it outlasts everything else. Time is not fair, but it's generous. Let me tell you a secret. Time doesn't treat everyone equally. Some people have more of it. Some people waste it. Some people start with more money, more health, more opportunity. but time is still generous to those who respect it. If you give it consistency, it will give you growth. If you give it patience, it will give you peace. If you give it discipline, it will give you freedom. Not overnight, not in 6 months, but slowly, faithfully, quietly. That's the magic. That's the mystery. That's why time is the most powerful force, not just in investing, but in life.
Welcome back to The Long Game. I'm Nathan Carter, and if this is your first time tuning in, just know this voice is AI generated, but every word is written with care, reflection, and a deep belief in the value of thinking long-term. In our last episode, we explored a powerful truth. Time isn't just a clock. It's a force. A quiet one. A slow one. But one that multiplies everything. Your investments, your choices, your life. If you give it a chance. But today, we shift gears. Because here's the thing. Time alone doesn't create success. It's how you use it, what you pair it with, that makes the difference. There's a world of difference between waiting and wasting, between being patient and being passive. So let's dive into the art of using time intentionally. The clock is always ticking, so what are you doing with it? Let me ask you something. If you look back on the last 5 years, are you proud of how you've used your time? Not just busy, not just full of tasks, but intentional. Because time, left on its own, will still pass. The question is, what did you plant while it did? Think of it like a river. You can stand still in it, you can float with it, or you can swim toward something. The river doesn't care, but only one of those leads you forward. Amazon's slow years were not passive. Back to Amazon for a moment. Remember how it didn't turn a profit for years? That wasn't laziness. It was strategy. Every dollar they earned went into building warehouses, software, delivery networks, customer trust. They weren't just sitting back waiting for profits. They were using time like a tool, building layer upon layer, knowing it wouldn't show up in earnings for years. But when it did, it came fast, and it came strong. That's what it means to use time intentionally. Not chasing speed, but stacking things that will matter later. The iceberg metaphor. What no one sees. Imagine an iceberg floating in the ocean. You see the tip, the small part above the water. But below the surface, that's where most of it lives. Massive, immense, hidden. Now, imagine your career, your wealth, or your skills as that iceberg. Most people only see the visible. The job title, the money, the wins. But what built all that? Time, practice, repetition, mistakes, learning, persistence. All hidden, all below the surface. That's the part no one claps for. That's the part that looks like nothing's happening. But it's the part that matters most. Because when the world finally sees the tip of your iceberg, you'll know what lies underneath and how long it took to grow. Intentional time use. Not always exciting, always powerful. Let me be clear. Using time intentionally does not mean packing your calendar full. It does not mean burning out. It does not mean saying yes to everything. It means being clear on what matters, doing the small things that align with that, saying no a lot, and letting time do its part. Sometimes that means reading one book every month. Sometimes that means investing every paycheck, no matter how small. Sometimes it means resting, so your mind can grow sharper. But in all those things, you're choosing direction, not speed. And over time, direction always beats speed. The 3-year rule. From skills to wealth. There's a quiet rule I've seen play out over and over again. Let's call it the 3-year rule. If you do one thing, consistently, thoughtfully, for 3 years, you'll be unrecognizable to yourself. Start writing every day for 3 years, you'll be a writer. Start investing monthly for 3 years. You'll have real capital. Start learning coding 1 hour a day. You'll have in-demand skills, not because of hustle, but because of intentional time. Most people don't fail because they're not talented. They fail because they quit before the time kicks in. The 3-year rule is not magic, but it's close. Because what you get at the end of it is a life that compounds without you having to chase it. Microsoft. Time, focus, and timing. Let's talk about Microsoft. Founded in 1975 by Bill Gates and Paul Allen. They started by writing software for personal computers at a time when no one believed PCs would take off. It wasn't flashy, it wasn't glamorous, but they focused. And more importantly, they stayed focused long enough to win. By the 1990s, Microsoft was everywhere. Windows, Word, Excel. Tools people didn't just like, they needed. But it took time. Years of staying the course. That's another piece of intentional time use. Sticking with the right thing, even when it's not exciting. Even when others move on. Because if you plant the right seed and keep watering it, you don't need to keep switching trees. You just need to stay long enough for the roots to grow deep. Why short-termism is a trap. We live in a culture of instant. Fast food, fast news, fast growth, and fast collapse. Because when everything is urgent, nothing is important. We jump from project to project. We change strategies every quarter. We compare our day 1 to someone else's year 10. But here's what no one tells you. Most great things start invisible. Then they become fragile. Then they become obvious to everyone. But by the time they're obvious, it's too late to start. So the question is, can you work during the invisible? Can you build through the fragile? That's where the long game lives. The quiet power of boring consistency. You know what the most underrated superpower is? Consistency. Not genius, not talent, not motivation, but boring, quiet, unshakable consistency. Think about brushing your teeth. It's not thrilling, but you do it every day. And 10 years from now, your teeth thank you. Now apply that same mindset to your finances, your learning, your relationships. One honest conversation a week. One investment a month. One book every 30 days. It doesn't feel like much today. But 5 years from now, you're a different person. Not because of any one big thing, but because you showed up over
and over. And that's what time loves most. Repetition. Intentional waiting. Not the same as doing nothing. One last thing before we close today. Using time intentionally doesn't always mean doing more. Sometimes it means waiting. But there's a difference between intentional waiting and just drifting. Intentional waiting is active. It's full of trust. It's built on preparation. It says, I know this won't bloom today, but I'm planting anyway. I know this won't pay off this year, but I'm building anyway. I know they don't see me yet, but I'm improving anyway. That kind of waiting, it's strong, it's mature, and it's rare. But when time sees that kind of faith, it responds. Every single time. Next time on The Long Game, we'll explore the final part of this series, how to build a life that compounds, even beyond money. We'll talk about friendships, energy, wisdom, and how time isn't just for growing wealth, it's for growing depth, clarity, and a life you're proud to look back on.
Welcome back to The Long Game. I'm Nathan Carter, and this is the final part of our three-part journey into one of the quietest, strongest forces in the universe, time. We've talked about how time multiplies everything, how it quietly rewards consistency, clarity, and commitment. We've talked about how to use time intentionally, how to avoid wasting it, and instead build towards something lasting. But today, we're zooming out. Because if time is such a powerful force, why should we only use it to grow our money? What if time could compound something even more important? What if the best investments in your life weren't stocks, but people, values, health, and peace? This episode is about what happens when you live the long game in your habits, your relationships, your character. Let's get into it. Not everything valuable can be measured. We live in a world obsessed with metrics. How much money? How many followers? How fast you got there? But the most valuable parts of life can't be measured on a spreadsheet. Things like trust, wisdom, calm, self-respect, loyalty, love. These don't show up on your income statement, but they shape every single part of your life, your work, your family, your future. And here's the beautiful thing. These things compound too, but only if you give them time. The relationship snowball, how trust builds over time. Think about a close friendship. Not someone you just met last week, but someone who's been there years, through hard seasons, laughter, silence. What's between you? It's not flashy. It's not quick. It's earned. That's what trust is. A snowball that builds slowly. One honest conversation. One shared moment. One difficult apology that gets forgiven. At first, it's small, but as time rolls on, it becomes something solid, something unshakable. And when life gets hard or confusing, that relationship carries you. Not because of any one moment, but because you invested time, and time gave you a return far beyond numbers. Warren Buffett's friendship with Charlie Munger. Let's return just briefly to the world of investing. Warren Buffett is one of the richest people alive.
But if you ask him what he values most, he talks about Charlie Munger, his partner, his friend, his sounding board. They worked side by side for over 50 years. They didn't always agree, but they always respected. They challenged each other, laughed together, stood through storms. You can't fake that. You can't download that. You build it with time. And in the end, that friendship became one of Buffett's most cherished assets. Not just because of deals or returns, but because of the depth it gave his life. Wisdom compounds, but only if you reflect. Let's talk about something else that grows quietly. Wisdom. Not just information, not just being smart, but the kind of wisdom that helps you know what really matters. Wisdom doesn't come from books alone, or from age alone. It comes from experience plus reflection. You go through something hard, you ask why it happened, you grow from it, you remember it. Then, years later, when someone else hits that same wall, you can help them avoid it. That's wisdom. And the more you live, the more you reflect, the deeper it grows. It's not about having all the answers. It's about asking better questions and holding space for silence. And just like investing, if you start early and stay curious, your wisdom will compound. Quietly, beautifully, powerfully. Health is the forgotten long-term investment. Let's be honest. We don't think about health until we lose it. But your energy, your mobility, your clarity, they're all forms of compound interest. Eat well today, you won't feel amazing tomorrow. Move your body this week, you won't get instant results. But do it for 5 years, 10 years, you feel younger than people half your age. You get to play with your grandkids. You get to think clearly well into your 70s. Time rewards the body just like it rewards money, but only if you invest early and consistently. You don't need to run marathons. You don't need perfect discipline. Just small, boring habits. Walk, sleep, stretch, breathe. They don't look like much today, but time is watching. And if you treat your body with care, time gives you the best dividend of all, more life to live. Peace is a long game too. Now let's go even deeper. Because what's the point of wealth, of skills, of even time, if your mind is never at peace? Inner calm, real peace, isn't a switch. It's not something you find in a weekend retreat. It's something you build, breath by breath, moment by moment. And it's made of small things. Saying no to drama, letting go of control, choosing stillness over stimulation, being okay with silence, forgiving even when it's hard. The more you practice those, the stronger your peace becomes. Until one day someone says, "You're always so calm. What's your secret?" And you'll know the truth. It wasn't one secret. It was time, used well. The true wealth, time well spent. We've talked a lot about compounding in this series, but let me leave you with one thought. When you reach the end of your life, the question won't be, how much did I make? It will be, did I spend my time on what truly mattered? Did I love deeply? Did I grow wiser? Did I stay curious? Did I leave people better than I found them? Did I live the long game or chase short wins? Because here's the thing. Time is undefeated. It keeps moving, no matter what you do. But how you move with it, that's up to you. So wherever you are right now, whatever season of life you're in, just know this: you're not behind. You're not too late. You haven't wasted it all. Because today is still today. And today is a powerful place to begin. Thank you for listening to The Long Game. And remember, time is your greatest asset. Not because it's fast, but because it never stops working if you give it something to build. Take care, and I'll see you in the next episode.